There's a point in your evolution, if you're willing, where you stop participating in the version of reality that was handed to you and you actually begin designing your own. That's what today's video is about. We're going to be looking at how you can take the place of the true architect of your reality, not just through mindset or positive thinking or optimism, but actually through the mastery of metaphysical law and conscious design. See, we are all born into a construct. We're born into a collective architecture of belief systems, expectations, and societal limitations that are handed to us without question. And by the time most people are adults, they're already living inside a reality that was never designed by them. Just look around. Most people are reacting to life, not actually creating it. They're living as what I call secondhand people. They are the secondhand version of the people and environment that they were socialized into in adolescence. They don't question their reality. They don't explore outside of what already is. Instead, they just outsource their power, they outsource their truth, and most importantly, they outsource their creative ability to a world that does not actually support their independent thinking. The result of this is a population of passive people who aren't even scraping the surface of what they're truly capable of. Because let's be honest, it's much easier and much more comfortable to fit into what already is. So let's start with a core truth. Reality is not solid. It only appears that way. What we perceive as the real world is actually just a dense illusion. It's a projection of frequencies that's made coherent by our mind. So nothing around you is as fixed as it seems. The chair you're sitting on, the bank balance that you're looking at, the relationship that you're in, even the body that you inhabit. These are not fixed objects. They're stabilized vibrations. They're patterns of consciousness held in form by attention, emotion, and meaning. Now, I'm going to repeat that last bit again because this is incredibly important, so lean in. What appears as your physical reality is actually patterns of consciousness held in form by your attention, emotion, and meaning. Where you place your attention is incredibly important. What you put your focus on is what you will experience, because your focus instructs your field, which materializes thought into form. Your attention is what holds your patterns in place. It's how you observe yourself into reality. And I'm going to speak more about this later on in this video, but for now, I want to emphasize how what I'm talking about here is what most people have never been taught. They don't teach this in school. Instead, we're taught that reality is fixed, that life happens to us, that we must respond and adapt to triggers in our external reality, rather than actually recognizing ourselves as the center of our reality's entire creation. Reality doesn't happen to you, it emerges from you. Your internal state is not a response to the world, it's actually the mechanism that informs it. Every belief, every expectation, every assumption, every emotional baseline is a signal that broadcasts outwards, instructing the field of consciousness to take shape in what we perceive to be physical form. This means your life is not a result of your circumstances, but your circumstances are a result of your internal state of consciousness. It's the sum total of how you think, feel, perceive, and decide. Now, I want to take this a little bit deeper. One of the greatest obstacles to becoming the architect of your own life is the invisible influence of collective programming. We are born into systems that define what's possible before we've even had a chance to question. Education teaches us obedience, not innovative thinking. Culture teaches us conformity, not curiosity. And by the time we begin to think for ourselves, most of what we think is already borrowed. I want you to reflect on this very powerful question. Does free will actually exist? We think it does. We want it to. But if you actually break down the invisible influence behind all of your decisions, whether it's big or small, you'll likely come to the same conclusion each time. Something has been the cause of that choice. Think about all of the invisible influences that are signaling to your subconscious mind all day, every day. The societal conditioning, the mass media marketing, the neural synchronization that we experience when we social bond, and the cultural and environmental signals that we barely even notice. All of these signals unconsciously shape what we think we want, what we think we need, and who we think we are. So are your choices truly yours, or have your choices been made for you from society? Now, the free will debate is a long-standing debate in philosophical, metaphysical, and quantum physics circles. And the truth is that the answer is likely inconclusive, as there's no real way to truly measure it. But you can reflect on this for yourself and gather empirical evidence. So the truth is, you've been conditioned to think within a pre-approved menu of possibilities. And if you've landed on this video, I'm going to assume that you're aware of this already. Some part of you knows that in order to shift from being a passive creator of your reality to being an active creator of your reality, you need to rise above the hive mind consciousness or the consensus thinking. You need to strengthen your own awareness, and you need to take back control of your life through your conscious choosing. This is why so many high functioning people feel stuck. They're intelligent, they're capable, they're doing everything right. Maybe you can relate to that. But deep down, they know that they're building lives that don't reflect the truth of who they actually are, because they've never been taught how to design from source. Before you can consciously create your reality, you must reclaim authorship over your inner world. You must go to the root. Where did your beliefs come from? Who decided your limits? What unconscious loyalties are actually shaping your choices? Because you cannot build a masterpiece on borrowed blueprints. So let's talk about creation and the mechanics of being the creator of your life. To architect your reality, you must understand the mechanics of creation. All things begin in the unseen. Your external world is simply the last place that your truth actually arrives. Everything you see, your results, your opportunities, your challenges, it's all delayed echoes of your consciousness. Your thoughts are electrical signals and your emotions are magnetic fields. So together they create this vibrational signature or structure that actually collapses new timelines into forms, or it recycles old ones if you're not consciously choosing your vibration. When you hold a thought with clarity and you charge it with an emotional coherence, you begin the process of imprinting reality. But if your thoughts say one thing and your emotions say another, if you want expansion but you're anchored in your fear, then your signal is going to be scrambled, it's going to be confused, and it's going to be incoherent, and your reality is going to reflect that noise. So in order to create powerfully, you must practice coherence. A split focus will not manifest in the form that you truly desire. When Source is speaking to you and showing you the vision of what's in your field of potential, then you must work to get all parts of yourself on board in that direction. Otherwise, if you have split focus, it's like having a rowboat with half of the rowers going in one direction and the other half of the rowers going in the opposite direction. It just results in stagnancy. It's inaction. And trust me, this internal stagnancy will lead to intense frustration and intense internal dissonance. You must become internally unified around what you are choosing. And this is the part that most people skip. They try to create a new reality while they're still identifying with their old self or their old reality. So to put it bluntly, in order to create a different reality for yourself, you must have the courage to let go of your current identity or current reality as it is. You can't stay in your current identity and expect to experience a different reality. You must shift your identity, you must shift how you see yourself, and you must shift what you're attached to in order for a new reality to be born through you. I must warn you that this isn't a pleasant experience. In fact, going through an identity shift will likely feel like your whole world is falling down around you. Your closest relationships will start to break down. You will probably find yourself in a new career direction or business direction, or you might even feel called to move to a new country. And you'll find that the things and experiences that previously gave you joy or a sense of connection no longer do. And this is your internal chemistry changing as you shift what you engage with. The situations that fed your stress before might not feed them in the same way anymore. And this can be very unfamiliar because you suddenly feel detached from a reality that you once knew. So your body is actually responding differently. And the same chemical reactions that you used to unconsciously be addicted to are no longer giving you that same response. So this can be an incredibly uncomfortable transition period. So please be kind to yourself. But essentially, in order to be the architect of your reality, you must become a match to the life you desire, not just intellectually, but energetically, emotionally, somatically, and at the level of identity. This is the core of metaphysical mastery, not just chasing results in the outer world, but actually reconfiguring yourself from the inside so powerfully that the outer world has no choice but to conform. Now, I mentioned earlier in the video that I wanted to circle back to the theme of observing your reality into form and how your attention is what instructs your consciousness. So let's dive a little bit deeper into a concept from quantum physics that holds profound implications for how we consciously create our reality. I'm talking about superposition. In the realm of quantum mechanics, a particle can exist in multiple states simultaneously until it is observed. This is superposition. For example, imagine flipping a coin and covering it with your hand until you look. In that moment, it's neither heads nor tails, it's actually both. It's in a stage of superposition until you observe it into being. Instead of saying this is heads or this is tails, quantum physics says that it's heads and tails at the same time until we look. That's superposition. And this is why what you focus on creates your reality, because your reality is existing in superposition until you observe it into being. This is why your self-concept is absolutely pivotal to creating the future that you truly want for yourself. If you keep seeing yourself as someone who gets screwed over by other people and you can't trust anyone, then you're going to keep observing that possibility into reality until you shift your focus into seeing yourself as someone who is respected and honored. Just as a quantum particle holds all its potential states at once, your reality, before it fully manifests, exists as a state of pure potentiality. Every desire you have, every goal you set, every possible future you can imagine, they all exist in a state of superposition. They are all simultaneously possible until your consciousness, your observation, actually collapses it into a singular, tangible experience. This is the essence of the observer effect. I want you to see yourself as the center of your personal universe. You might be focusing more on the outside world first, maybe on what other people are doing or how you're not where you want to be. But when you actually start focusing on yourself as the centric force behind your entire life, you start to take your power back. You start to really become the true creative being that you are. So practicing being the observer of your reality is an incredibly potent place to begin to completely transform your life. I want you to practice observing your thoughts, feelings, and physical sensations without becoming entangled with them, without becoming attached to them, and without judgment. Be the witnesser. Observe the common thoughts that are running through your mind on repeat. Witness the emotional or chemical responses in your body as you go throughout your day, and start to identify the circumstances or people that trigger a particular response in your body. Observe your physical sensations without applying any meaning or justification to them. Your attention, your focus, your belief, and your emotional resonance are the forces that collapse the infinite possibilities of the quantum field into the concrete reality that you experience. When you consistently hold a vision, infuse it with your coherent emotion, and act as if it is already real, you are in essence performing the quantum observation that brings that potential into being. This is you entangling with your next level self in the field of infinite potentiality. This is an active process, generating energetic alignment with the desired outcome. It's about choosing which timeline out of an infinite array of timelines that you will step into and becoming that. If you are experiencing lack, limitation, or misalignment, it's because your internal state, your beliefs, your emotions, your habitual thoughts are actually consistently observing that into reality. So to shift that, you must consciously choose to observe a different potential. This means cultivating an unwavering inner conviction that your desired reality is not only possible, but it's already existing in its potential form, waiting for your conscious observation to bring it forth. It requires you to embody the feeling of that future reality now, to think from it rather than actually thinking about it. This is where true architectural power lies. It's in your ability to hold the vision, feel the feeling, create congruence with your thoughts and your emotions, and act from that place of knowing that your chosen reality is inevitable. It's really important for me to assert here that in order to become a powerful architect of your reality, you must work on purifying your perception. You must clear up all of the noise, strip away all that is not yours. And this means doing the uncomfortable work of letting go of identities that were formed in survival. It means also disrupting habitual thoughts and emotional patterns that are no longer serving your evolution. They're actually keeping you trapped in your past. It means questioning the blueprints that you borrowed from other people and not being afraid to choose something different and something that is more in alignment with your personal truth and what is actually meant for you in this lifetime. Until your inner space is clean and you can practice being the witness of your internal state before reacting from it, you will keep living from your past projections and just recreating the same reality over and over and over again. So once you've clarified your vision and you've anchored into your new identity, you must stabilize it. This is where embodiment comes in. You must speak, act, and decide as if the new reality is inevitable. Assume it is already yours and move from that place. This might feel like you're being delusional, but it's actually your imagination and creative power at work. It means you're creating from the field of potentiality, not actually from patterns of your past. Now, please remember what I'm about to tell you. Creation has its own timeline. It is so important to detach from an external pace. Creation is not linear. Just because you don't see the evidence of your internal shift immediately doesn't mean it's not working or unfolding for you. There is a very intentional buffer between thought and form, because if there wasn't a buffer or there wasn't a time delay in the creation process, then think about how many situations that we would get ourselves into which wouldn't actually support our survival. So we actually need that buffer. Trust that your reality is slow to catch up to the new signal and the internal shift. Most people actually tap out of the creation process because they doubt it too soon. They start to panic when they don't see the physical evidence quickly. So you must remain patient in your creation process. The true architect doesn't need to speed up time. In fact, they trust that their new reality is coming into being so powerfully that the detachment from time is actually the very thing that ironically speeds it up. You have to think, feel, and act from a place of already being the person that is doing, being, or having that thing that you desire. And this version of yourself is not in the wanting, the wishing, or the hoping of that thing that they desire, because they already are the actual embodiment of it. So you have to move from this place. Move with ease, move with power, move with assumption. Literally be the version of yourself in the moment right now. You were not born to inherit a secondhand life. You were actually born to create one. So remember that you are not at the mercy of the world. You are the origin point. You are the source field. You are the intelligence behind all form and all reality. There is no one coming to hand you the blueprint for your unique creation in this lifetime. You are the blueprint. And every choice, every thought, every boundary you set is a brick in the architecture of your becoming. So the question is no longer, is this possible for me? The question is, will I finally claim the power that I've always had as a creator to actually create the life I know is meant for me? Because the moment that you do, the whole game changes. Reality becomes yours to design. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.